Most fans know that with 5 Super Bowl appearances, Marv Fleming has been in more super efforts than any other player. But who's the only player ever to start in a Super Bowl on both offense and defense? Only 2 players in Super Bowl competition have ever picked off a pass and run it back for a touchdown. 2 years ago, Willie Brown turned the trick against Fran Tarkenton and the Vikings, taking it back 75 yards. But who preceded him? Who was the first man ever to return one for a touchdown? In Super 3, George Sauer caught 8 passes in one game, and that was a record for a wide receiver. But who holds the career record in Super competition? Oddly enough, only one running back representing an NFC team has ever rushed for over 100 yards in a Super Bowl game. That same runner, oddly enough, holds the record for the longest run from scrimmage in Super Bowl competition. Think back a couple of years and see if you can name it. There have been 12 Super Bowls, but only once has the Most Valuable Player award ever gone to a player on a losing team. And most of us know that Franco Harris holds the Super Bowl game record for rushing with 158 yards. But who is the career rushing leader in championship competition? You know, over the 12 years of the Super Bowls, there have been some strange plays. There was the tip touchdown pass to John Mackey, and there was the strange events that helped the Minnesota Vikings lose so many of these super efforts. But was there ever a stranger play than the one that took place in Super 7? The Los Angeles Coliseum, when the Miami Dolphins, leading 14-0, tried a field goal. And when Giro Yepremian couldn't get the ball up, he came up with it and wound up turning it over. Most people know about that play, but the question is, who's the only man ever to take a fumble in for a touchdown in Super Bowl competition? Believe it or not, it's only happened one time. And while you think about that one, think back to just a year ago when Craig Morton of the Denver Broncos threw 4 interceptions in one game. That feat, combined with the 3 interceptions he threw in Super Bowl 5, hand him the dubious distinction of most interceptions ever in Super Bowl competition. Flip the coin over and ask yourself this one. Who's thrown more touchdown passes than any other player in Super competition? We'll give you a few minutes to think about them. Write them down, because we'll come back with the answers in just a few minutes. While you try to think of the quiz answers, we're going to give you a couple of hints by continuing our look back at past Super Bowls. You know, after 2 years of Lombardi domination and 2 years of AFL surprises, it was as a new merged league that they went ahead with Super Bowl 5 with the Cowboys and the Colts.
The year was 1971, January 17th. The Super Bowl moved to artificial turf for the first meeting of conference title holders. But neither the Colts nor the Cowboys played like champions. Loose footballs were everywhere, and the Super Bowl saw its first controversy. Was Johnny Unitas' pass to John Mackey tipped by Mel Renfro, making it a legal reception, or did it carom directly from Eddie Hinton to Mackey, which was not legal in 1971? However you saw it, officials ruled the catch legal, and the John Mackey play became one more in a long line of crazy bounces in Super Bowl 5. The most damaging being Craig Morton's pass that bounced off Dan Reeves' hands right to Colt linebacker Mike Curtis. Curtis's interception set up the most exciting finish in the first 12 Super Bowls, when, with 9 seconds left, Jim O'Brien had a 32-yard field goal try to win the NFL championship. Rookie Jim O'Brien came through, and the Baltimore Colts won Super Bowl 5, 16-13. The year was 1972, and on January 16th in New Orleans, Tom Landry and the Dallas Cowboys finally won the big one with a victory over the Dolphins in Super Bowl VI. The game matched 2 teams born in expansion, but the Cowboys played a perfect game with the Dallas defense not allowing a touchdown for the first time in Super Bowl history. While the Miami offense struggled, Dallas stormed to a Super Bowl record 262 yards rushing. A 4-pronged running game consisted of number 32, Walt Garrison, number 33, Dwayne Thomas, Calvin Hill, and a 4th running back, Roger Staubach, who became the Cowboys quarterback earlier that year and had yet to lose a game that he started. In Super Bowl VI, Staubach threw 2 touchdown passes, one to Lance Allworth and one to Mike Ditka, number 89, as Dallas did very little wrong to beat Miami 24-3. The Dallas Cowboys could finally be called world champions.
And you can see the fans are coming in to see the Super Bowl, but it's starting to rain a little bit over our tent. People are rushing inside, but I was able to drag Don Shula out. It's nice to see you again.
Well, Donna, it's good to be with you, and I'm looking forward to a ball game. I think that the 2 best teams are here, and it should be exciting.
When you won that 17-0 record, you had that fabulous record and went all the way to win the big one. It was a fantastic thing. Now the schedule's changed. Do you think it'd be tougher to do that, to repeat that kind of performance?
Well, first of all, I think we had a pretty tough schedule when we went 17-0. But seriously, I think that it is going to be much tougher in the future, because now with position scheduling where the tough have to play the tough, every year you're going to have some really outstanding ball games. And before, because of a break in your schedule, you might be able to get by and not have to play that many tough games.
Well, thank you, Donna. We hope the rain stops. We'll be back with more of Super Sunday after this.
Hey, Rookie! You know B.F. Goodrich has the best-selling line of high-performance radios? Sure do. You know they're the most dependable radios Goodrich ever made? Sure do. Look at there, the Goodrich Flint. Hey, Goodrich doesn't have a blimp. I think he knew that.
We're the other guys. B.F. Goodrich, the leader in high-performance radios.
Oh, the things people do to decide between 2 TV shows they want to watch. Well, now you don't have to decide anymore, because with Sony's Betamax video recorder, you can actually watch a show on one channel while you're videotaping a show on another channel. That way you get to see both of them, so you don't have to worry about dreaming up new ways of deciding.
Okay, first one to the TV set chooses.
See exciting regional action followed by the #1 ranked Fighting Irish of Notre Dame against Maryland next Saturday.
NBC Sports.
Okay, you've had time to think about the Super Bowl trivia. Now we're going to give you the answers. No grading on the curve here. My own opinion is, if you got about 5 of 8, you deserve to strut. The question was, who is the only man ever to start in a Super Bowl on both offense and defense? The answer? Number 55, E.J. Holub of the KC Chiefs, who started as a linebacker in Super 1 and as a center in Super 4. We showed you Willie Brown returning an interception for a touchdown 2 years ago. But this man, Herb Adderley, is the only other man to turn that feat. He did it against the Oakland Raiders in Super number 2 to help the Packers to a 33-14 win. With 11 catches in Super Bowls 1 and 4, Otis Taylor has caught more passes than any wide receiver in Super Bowl competition. And remember the question about the longest run from scrimmage? How about this answer? Number 41, Tom Matte of the Baltimore Colts, ran 158 yards against the New York Jets in Super Bowl number 3 in a losing effort. In another losing effort, Chuck Howley gained the distinction of being the only most valuable player from a losing team. He did it as a linebacker for the Dallas Cowboys in Super Bowl number 5. The career rushing leader in Super Bowl competition, that's easy enough. Larry Zonka with 297 yards. But the fumble recovery for a touchdown was a little trickier. The award goes to Mike Bass, who took that Garo Yepremian fumble back for a touchdown in a 14-7 game. And the leader in most touchdown passes thrown in Super Bowl competition, how about the guy we've got going today, Roger Staubach of the Dallas Cowboys, who has thrown 5 passes for touchdowns, all of them in Super Bowl competition.
Well, he'll have some new fodder next year because either Dallas or Pittsburgh, whoever wins today, will be the first team to win 3 Super Bowls. Now it's time for another scouting report. Oh, the running backs against the linebackers, or is it the other way? Here's Mike and Bryant with that report.
In every football game, there are a lot of natural confrontations. Receivers against defensive backs, offensive linemen against defensive linemen. If you're a running back coming into this game, you think about the linebackers and vice versa. And certainly, Michael, we've got a lot of talented people playing at those positions today. Let's start with the Dallas linebacking crew. Unheralded, but solid.
Well, they're solid because they are very cerebral. They carry out Coach Landry's defensive scheme to a T. They're not as heralded because of the Dallas front four is so good.
The main men they have to contend with today, Franco Harris and Rocky Bleier. Pretty good pair.
Well, you talk about the great running tandems in Super Bowl history. You talk about Horning and Taylor. You talk about Sonka and Mercury Morris. You have to include Bleier and Harris because they complement each other so very well.
Critics will say the Pittsburgh ground game lacks depth, but in this man, number 32, the Steelers get just what they want on the ground, and that is an awful lot of consistency.
Well, Bryant, you talk about a money back. You know, Franco Harris, in 13 postseason games, he has gained 1,206 yards. He's scored 13 touchdowns. In 5 of those games, he's gained over 100 yards. He is a joy to watch.
Certainly he is something special. Great acceleration for a big man. The guy who will have to keep a sharp eye on him today is Bob Brunig, the man in the middle of the Dallas defense, kind of an enigma in Dallas land.
He is an enigma because he has been unable to make Dallas fans forget about the all-time great Leroy Jordan, but he's good because, like I said before, he carries out that game plan very well.
Brunig is flanked on one side by a lot of experience in D.D. Lewis, and on the other side by a lot of pizzazz and quickness in Hollywood Henderson.
Well, Thomas Hollywood Henderson, people get down on him because he talks so much. The reason why he talks so much is he can play. He can back up all of those words, and he can roam from sideline to sideline and really break open a game with those devastating interceptions of his.
On offense, the Steelers have consistency in Harris. On offense, the Cowboys have a world of speed in this man, 33, Tony Dorsett.
Well, Earl Campbell and Walter Payton might be better all-around backs, but for sheer breakaway ability, Tony Dorsett has it all. He will be a key for the Steelers. Stop him early, you can frustrate Tony, and perhaps we might see Preston Pearson come in the game if that happens.
Scott Laidlaw and Robert Newhouse provide a change of pace, but this man makes it go. His one tendency to cough up the football could be a problem today, though, because the Steeler linebackers like to make you cough it up.
If there is an adjective that describes the Pittsburgh linebackers, it's opportunism. Jack Ham is probably the best. He's been a virtual all-pro in every season that he has played, and he's got that innate ability to, that football instinct that not many players have.
They even get it from part-timers. You take this man, Robin Cole. He shares time with Lauren Taves, but he has a knack for being around the ball, for being around when it's coughed up, and coming up with it, which is the second part of that equation. But the man who makes it happen in the middle is the man with the big smile, 58, Jack Lambert.
Well, Thomas Henderson calls him Count Dracula, and actually he is the Steelers' enforcer, and what he will not let happen is the Steelers to get intimidated.
You know, you come into a big game of this nature, and normally you talk about control of the ball game being held in a quarterback's hands or a running back's hands. But really, the trio of linebackers the Steelers have, they're so good, they can take a game and dominate it, and that's why the Cowboys' offensive backfield is so important today.
Bryant, you said it all. If the Dallas Cowboys' offensive backfield, Dorsett and Scott Laidlaw, can keep them off balance, make them respect their running ability and their ability to catch the ball, Pittsburgh could have some problems.
Certainly the people involved in the running back positions and the linebacking positions have no illusions about what their objectives are as they head into Super 13. We talked to some of the principals involved during the week.
I expect Dallas to run my side. Most offenses, except maybe for in Oakland, are a right-handed team, meaning they'll run to a defensive left, and I expect running plays my way, and you know, they execute pretty well, and they think that they can move the football on anybody, and I'll see about a running game.
If coming from a running back's viewpoint, you know, we are more involved with than any is the linebackers, you know, and we feel that if we're going to run the ball, we're going to have to block Jack Lambert because he's the key in their defense, and they have those big people up front with Joe Green and LC and Dwight White and Finesse, and they're fantastic people, and they do a great job.
As I understand, through the papers, is going to become more aggressive in this game. It doesn't like the gentleman agreement that we've had over the last times that we've played, and he said that's out the window, and he's going to play very aggressive. So I anticipate a very aggressive game from D.D. Lewis. But of course, Tom Henderson, and the way Tom's been talking all year, he's going to be aggressive no matter what he does.
Notice that they don't run a lot of end runs his way. He's a good, maybe a pass receiver, running routes, but I don't see how he could replace Cunningham. Coming from that statue of a 6'6", 245 tight end, come down to a 6'1" tight end. It would have to hurt your end run or the confidence of to run that way. You know, with Cunningham over there, he covered a lot of area there, and he could take on defensive ends, but Grossman I don't think can do that.